Good morning. Here we are at the 87th segment of the Hump Day Happy Chat. And it's an interesting time. And I am coming to you live from the Hartley Center for Mindfulness and Self-Mastery. I'm Valerie Shepherd. Been very busy this week, the last 10 days, in fact. Working in the space of what's happening now, what's happening here, what's going on inside, wanting to be present, and at the same time feeling such despair, such the word that keeps coming to mind is impotence, feeling so disempowered and feeling like even what I'm feeling doesn't really make sense. It's a dynamic time. And in the space of being a transformational teacher and a leader, there's so much going on inside. And I just want to honor all those of us, you and me and the collective I am. Honor us and the dynamics of what's going on right now and what's coming up. And, the things that I talk about, the things that I teach through my book or my courses, and what I hope I teach through my beingness, because that's part of the principles that I teach, are that we are one, that we are in each other, and that the most powerful of all powers in the world, although we don't always experience it in our here and now, the most powerful of all the powers in the world is the energy of love and unconditional, abiding, deep, 11th, 12th dimension love, like not romantic love, but the love of the divine that is coursing through everything and all of us at once. That's what I teach. And so in the midst of that teaching, the times that we are in feel very difficult and very debilitating. And so I want to talk today. I just want to spend a little time with you in that space of, wow, this is really hard. I called today's happy chat Mourning Deeply, Healing Beautifully. And I chose those words, or those words came and I allowed them to be the title, because they really do reflect what I think is the possibility in this moment. And so I want us to, I really invite us to be in the space of possibility, even in the deep, deep feelings of hurt and anger and loss. There is also possibility. And it's not a turning away from the deep, deep mourning and anger and fear and hurt and loss. It's not a turning away from. So it's not a shutting out and moving toward. It's a both and. It's the heavy heart can also be the open heart. The heart that is filled with such pain can also be the fertile ground from which new beauty arises, erupts. Just imagine how many times you have walked across a craggly space and up from the depths pops a beautiful flower. And if you're like me, you stand there and praise that flower for whatever it took to share with us its magnificence in the midst of the craggly place that it had chosen to be. And so from the depth of my spirit, I believe that's where we are now. That's the possibility, the opportunity that we're in right now, and that it's up to us. Hi, Rachel. I can always count on you to be here. Thank you so much. It's great to have you. I'm sending this prayer out to you and everyone else. So this talking about mourning being defined as an expression of deep sorrow for someone who has transitioned off the planet, died, no longer available to us in this third dimensional physical realm. We can't touch them or feel them or hear them or see them in the physical. They're no longer in the body physical. And I think, I know we deeply mourn that transition. And I feel a different mourning in myself and others right now, which is a figurative death and a figurative um, dying of something precious, whether that is something known in the vernacular as the rule of law, whether that's something known in the vernacular as justice, whether that's something that's known in the vernacular as common, decent behavior from one human being to another. Like whatever that is, there's the death, there's a mourning of the apparent. I will not make it so. I will not anchor in on it. I will call it the appearance, the apparent loss of humanity in some of us. Like, what is that? What has catalyzed that? And I think the other thing I'm mourning personally is, how did I miss the deeper signs of how close we are and were to the brink of where we are right now? Deep mourning, deep loss happening across the world, but especially in our country, and the deep mourning of the loss in our hearts, the loss of sanctity and safety and security. And so I've been doing a lot more watching of things in the press, in the media, on YouTube, on MSNBC, on CNN, on Fox. Like, I've been a voracious consumer of this stuff, not because I don't trust it all, not because I believe it has the answers, but I like to see what is the cross section and what's the intersectionality of that which isn't working for us and that which provides the possibility right now in this moment, in the both and. So I watched on Sunday past, CNN did a show on in memoriam show for those that have died, the more than 100,000 Americans who have died from COVID-19. And I liked the experience of seeing real people talked about by real people and honored by real people, remembering for myself that many of these people were not able to be with their loved ones to say their farewells, like the different kind of mourning that creates, that is difficult to overcome. Like, I never got to say bye-bye. I never got to hold their hand one last time. So seeing those expressions, the outpouring from those hearts was really powerful for me. As someone who has not lost a family member. And there were prayers spoken for all of us from faith leaders from different faith backgrounds. And I found that I love that. I mean, I've been studying, I use that term loosely. I've been experiencing, sometimes immersing myself in spiritual, religious practice and thought from many cultures since I was a teenager. And so you hear me quote lots of different um, belief systems in my work and in what I do. And it's because I have a deep seated belief in one divine principle of love and many different paths, many different kind of codified ways of accessing and expressing that love. And so I was really enthused to see the number of different people, from a Christian representative, from someone from the practice of Judaism. There was a rabbi, there was an imam, and the things that really struck me a lot. I loved Rabbi David Volpe, who's the senior rabbi at Sinai Temple, who said, "The measure of your loss is the measure of your blessing." And that really resonated with me, especially in this conversation of both and existence, that I can feel deep loss and feel deep gratitude at the same moment. And then I talk about that the deep kind of happiness that I'm talking about all the time, not just sometimes, all the time. Happiness is a phrase, a word, but I'm really talking about a bliss, a joy that emanates from within, that is always already there. It's a part of our innate essence, the essence of who we are, that is at once ordained, divine, anointed breath of God manifesting in this moment. Like, that is a deep belief that is cemented in everything that I do and say and teach, even if it doesn't always look like it, because I'm not always coming from the deepest level of my perfection. But it is there in every one of us, kneelers and not. The measure of your loss is the measure of your blessing. He also said, "May I be an instrument of healing, of justice, and of peace." It was beautiful to hear those words. The closing of that experience. So this is all around this mourning. What are we mourning today? What are we mourning? And some of us may even be mourning our own courage. I spoke with my students yesterday, and some of them were saying they're afraid to speak. They're afraid to go on record. They're afraid of what the backlash might be for actually sharing the truth, the authenticity of the pain that's in their hearts, the authenticity of the anguish, the authenticity of the questioning, the authenticity of the splintered nature of all the different things that I'm feeling, the authenticity of not even understanding what I'm feeling and why, the authenticity of that level of vulnerability. And to not feel safe, protected, not feel acceptable, lovable, expressing that level of self. I can relate. I have been posting some things that have given me pause, and I personally have had moments, and I have talked to some of my other spiritual leaders. I was on a Facebook Live last night with Jennifer Huff on the Agents of Awakening page. I encourage you to go look at what we talked about. It's the beginning of a week-long effort to bring voice and expression and love in action to help people process and keep moving. moving forward, spiraling up, evolving our consciousness rising. This is what we're doing. And so Jennifer and I have talked, and I've been saying, people can find me. There is a level of fear, and just a willingness. I just feel propelled forward. That's the divinity within me saying, don't stop now. Don't stop now. So here I am. And the next thing I just want to share is there was a prayer of Imam Khalid Latif that really moved me. It was powerful. It was like a spoken word performance. He is the executive director and chaplain of the Islamic Center of New York. He at one point was the chaplain for the NYPD. He was appointed the first Muslim chaplain of Princeton University. And the power, and he looks younger than I am, and the power underneath the spiritual essence of what he was saying is what moved me. Like I could feel the divinity in him coming through. I could feel that essence, and it was magnificent to be a part of it. And I just want to share a couple of things in this idea of mourning deeply, healing beautifully, mourning deeply, allowing us to simultaneously heal deeply. A couple of the things he said, let us carry them always. And now remember, this was in the context of remembering those who have died from COVID-19. And I extend it to everything that's going on right now. Let us carry them always. Let us carry the essence and the memory of those who have been harmed and ruined and killed in this pandemic of hate and racism and inhumanity that somehow has gripped a whole swath of our nation and has for hundreds of years. Let us carry them always, Imam Khalid Latif implored. And what I would say to that is remember their essence, like remember the essence of who they are, which is the same as you, no matter who they are acting as in this moment, who they were trying to be, who they could have been, the potential of them. Honor that potential. He said, create deep opportunity for revelations of all kinds. And one of the things that I've been noticing and allowing is that there's a revolutionizing of thinking going on in me as I'm seeing more and more of perspective coming from many different places. And I encourage and invite you, instead of getting very narrow, like I really have seen this in myself and in others, I go very narrow in times when I feel like, oh my gosh, my heart is breaking and I don't know what to do about it. I tend to go very narrow. I'm only going to get information from this place because this place feels good. Like this place really feels like I can trust it, or this is the only space that I will allow into my space. And what I've noticed for me is that that doesn't make me, it doesn't make me able. I'm no longer able to be a channel for love in those other spaces. And how do I fortify myself as I venture forth into all these spaces to be a beacon of light, to be the love anchor? We all have an opportunity to bring that love forth in a moment, not to put ourselves in danger to do so necessarily, but to step through our fear and to stop closing out the perspective that doesn't feel good. Part of how we are here today is there's a lack of understanding of what doesn't feel good inside us. A lack of understanding of where this perturbation, where this yuck, where this comes from. Like what is that in me? Where did it come from in me? Who planted it there Why is it still there? And how is it propelling me one way or another? How is it running me? And so this create deep opportunity for revelations of all kinds means we cannot turn a blind eye, cover our ears, and walk away from perspective that doesn't feel good. We've got to allow for a revolution of our thinking, evolution of how we're being, a revolution in the way we receive the issues at hand. If the revolution could just be a little more curiosity, we talked about this last night, just a little more leaning in, like a little more, wow, what is that? A little more deep listening. What's going on over here as I'm observing and receiving what's going on over there? And where is the opportunity to bridge forth, like to bridge into, as I lean into you and you lean into me, where's the opportunity for a bridge of understanding, a bridge of acceptance, a bridge of tolerance, a bridge of harmony, a bridge of love? Where is that opportunity, and what is my responsibility to create it? Like, what would happen if in this create deep opportunities of revelations of all kinds, if the revelation was, I have a responsibility to go forth in a space, go forth and bring into a space a revolutionized me, an evolutionized way of being me, where I am interested, curious, tell me more, say more about that. I want to give, I want to receive, the cycle of reciprocity where we can build bridges and close the distance between two hearts. Oh, is the divine ecstatic when we close the distance between our hearts. Imam Khalid Latif closed his prayer by saying, make us be those who, when we look back to these days, he was talking specifically of COVID-19, we see that we've done the best we could for everyone. Like, I see that I've done the best I could. And here's where I really want to focus and ask you to focus, invite and encourage you that everyone that we want to be something for has got to start with us. And so being the love, and the point here is, I cannot feed you from an empty cup within me. We fulfill our destiny from a full cup. And so when we have filled ourselves up, and I don't think it's a one-time thing. I believe that we fill ourselves up moment to moment. So moment to moment, we are refilling, refortifying, embodying, like we dip into a place where the anger controls us, and then we say, oh, wait a minute, I need to refortify. What is that? How do I get so that I'm not acting from anger? I may feel the anger, but I'm acting from love. I may feel the anger, but I'm acting from compassion. I may feel the anger, but I'm acting from something else. I know the anger's there, but I don't allow it to run me ragged. The everyone that we are serving has to include us, you, me. So it requires active practices that fuel your onward steps and your upward spiral. Active practices. So I have even felt myself being really drained. I have felt myself being ultra tired. I say ultra because it's like a fatigue that knows no change, right? It's an ongoing fatigue, which reminds me I may have let go of some of my practices that are designed to fortify me for just the dynamics of the present moment. The giving that I'm doing, where I'm not remembering that I have to give to myself in order to be able to continue to give at the highest levels to others. So when I think of this refortification, I'll give you a couple of things. So this mourning deeply that transitions into healing beautifully, or coexists, this deep mourning coexisting with deep, beautiful healing happening. So when I think of refortifying my heart, right, the seat of my soul, the seat of your soul, it's not in your mental capacity, your intellect, it's in your intuitive essence, this intuitive essence of you. The divinity of you resides at this space of heart opening. So, refortifying your heart, the practices that I encourage and invite are prayer, meditation, gratitude, joy. I use laughter practices. So I sometimes have to coexist in the space where I'm consciously giving myself the opportunity to laugh because of the healing components of the laughter and what it does for the body, from the endorphins and serotonin in the brain to the extra oxygen in the body, which gives my brain the ability to think more clearly. So laughter is a part of my deep healing that allows for the morning to be held in space that is sacred. The gratitude for what I can bring, gratitude for the connections I'm making, whatever those gratitude practices are, to remind myself to be in the space of deep gratitude, even while I'm sitting in the upset. Refortifying your heart is step one, refortifying and rejuvenating the body. At times like these, when you are overextending the body, you've got to eat better. You've got to drink more water. I've noticed that I've been drinking more and more water, and I make mine hot water with lemon. That is a practice that does antioxidation in the body, that also fuels the digestion. So where you might not be digesting things and getting them out of your body, out of your system through the digestive processes, some warm lemon water several times a day can support your body to do that. When your body is releasing the toxins through the liver and the colon and through that whole elimination process, one of the 12 powers of man, that is talked about in the body of work of Myrtle and her husband, the Fillmores, and the Unity Church that I attend. That elimination system, eliminating things, is a part of one of the powers we bring to the human experience. And so this elimination system is helped by drinking more water than usual. So if you drink 8 glasses, you might want to drink 16 when you're in a space of deep mourning and transformation. And sleeping more than usual. Instead of beating yourself into working through this fatigue, allow yourself to nap. Allow yourself to nap. And then the last one, recalibrating the mind. How am I recalibrating the mind? So I mentioned that rather than going narrow in my getting understanding, I decided to go broad. Now I may be going broad and not very deep, so I may be skimming the surface of a number of different areas. And I'm anointing myself as fine for now. And as I go a little deeper in each one, I'll also get more of the recalibration of the mind. So how can you feed your mind with a broad array of life-giving, energizing, supporting perspectives? Perspectives that allow you to put in context that which you're feeling, that which you're understanding, that which you don't understand, that which you can't feel, that allow you to contextualize and help you see a way forward into the building of bridges. Into the building of bridges. Refortifying your heart, rejuvenating your body, recalibrating your mind. Those are the actions of somebody who is mourning deeply and healing beautifully. And people sometimes have asked me, so how do you do that? Like, how do you stay in the space where that can flourish? And so I'll tell you a couple of practices that I use, and then we'll close for today. So one of the things that I do is a grounding practice. So I ground myself in my body ground the essential nature that I am, that I see as an integrated spiritual human person. So I ground that mixture, that beautiful cocktail of spiritual dynamism with human frailty, right? Spiritual magnificence with human, well, I'm a human mistaken perspective. I ground all of that together as an amalgam that comes in an expression of a being called Valerie. And I do that by doing several times a day, just closing my eyes, going in, taking a deep breath, and imagining with my mind's eye that I am at an appointed and anointed spot that is mine, on the net of light, the web of light and love that is at once moving through everything, all that is on the planet. We're all connected by this net. And I imagine myself on my spot, my anointed space for today, for this moment. I imagine myself on that spot, and I imagine that net of light running vertically and horizontally through me, tethering me to the heavens and going deeply, deeply through the soles of my feet into the earth. And I just feel myself connected from my back, from the back of me, coming through my heart, tethering me. Like I just imagine that for a couple of minutes, several times a day. And I speak the words, I'm grounded, connected, inspired by all that is. And I say amen, because it's a prayer too. I also do shielding, so that that which is out there doesn't automatically become that which is in here. So I tend to put up an iridescent shield. I call on Archangel Michael, and I put up an iridescent shield, and I place on the front of that shield, and I see it as 3 dimensions going around me in 360 degrees. And it's a permeable shield, so all kinds of things can come through, but not the lower consciousness, lower vibration things that might pull me down and get me in a space where I can't recover, and that those things are running me. So as I finish my grounding exercise, I imagine that shield running all the way around me. Thank you, Archangel Michael. I also put myself in a place of accepting. I cannot change everything. I can change me, and I can help the change that other people want to embody, and we go forth together. I can get into the space of accepting, and I get into the space of receiving. And that means an open heart. That means an outward breathing of an open, expanded heart. And I have another healing practice for me, like a beautiful healing practice. This is a bear that I've purchased for friends of mine who were going through difficult times, and I couldn't leave myself out. So I bought one for myself. The cool thing about this bear, which you can't see, but I'm mushing right now, is that there are essential crystals on the inside, and essential herbs. I can smell the lavender, but there is more in here. And this bear is something, when I'm feeling really tenderhearted, I hold this bear when I go to sleep. And sometimes, as you saw, sometimes he sits on my desk. And so I use this. I just want to encourage and invite you to do what it is for you. Create your own practice of fortification that is deeply identified with you, is deeply yours and only yours. It's fine that nobody else believe in it or understand it or accept it or practice it, that you do it because it fortifies you for what's coming next for you. And your journey is not necessarily going to be like anyone else's journey. And so I encourage you to do what's necessary. And I'll close. I loved these words from the Imam. Protect us always from hearts that are not humble, from tongues that are not wise, and from eyes that have forgotten how to cry. So if you are mourning, I encourage and invite you to accept healing at the same time, that it doesn't have to be a linear experience. It can be a hologram of a give and take, an essence, a fluidity that is a both and expression, that is at once helping you to see your way forward and helping you to know that which is yours to do and to say and to be as we continue through this period of history into what will soon be yesterday. Thank you very much for joining me. Thank you very much for sharing, helping to create the ripple effect of love that I am committed to being. I'll post here how to join Jennifer Huff and me tonight as we continue our tipping point conversation. And we will be talking about tonight a powerful constellation that happened at a certified master trainer experience in Asheville, North Carolina last year. And it may shed some more light for you in the recalibrating the mind experiment. So I close always on the meta prayer. Remember the hashtag, keep on keeping on. Living happy to be me. The meta prayer, may all beings be peaceful. May all beings be safe. May all beings be happy. May all beings awaken to the light of their true nature, which is unconditional love, peace, joy, and freedom. And may all beings be free. Many blessings. Stay well. Be happy.